Welcome to our first episode of 2023.
Yeah, another year, new us, new podcast. No, same podcast, same people.
We didn't agree on any of this during our planning time at all.
Psych, we're actually changing our podcast. No, we're not. It's still us.
Yeah.
Welcome to Let's Be Perfectly Queer.
Questions of how you identify, seeking answers to clarify. Whether you're queen
or somewhere in between, let's be perfectly queer.
We are still the same queer podcast creating space to talk about all things queer.
That's us.
Yeah, that's us. Same peeps. No
100%.
changes. Stick with us. We'll be the same. We're pretty consistent, I think. This episode is about why I identify. And I've chosen that as a title because there are a lot of reasons that people either identify themselves, and by that I mean coming out, or there are some reasons that people may not feel comfortable about doing it and may come out later in life or may not identify themselves until later on.
May not come out at all.
Yeah, very true. But I thought it was a good topic to talk about, why people either choose to or choose not to. And I know everyone themselves will have a story about, I mean, everyone's got their own coming out story or not coming out story. Or
And we'd love to hear yours. That's a great segue. If you have a coming out story that you'd love to share, send us a DM, a voice note, message us. We'll get you on. Hopefully in a few months, I'll be able to get some more microphones and we can actually get some guests, which would be really exciting.
That's true. And if I'm feeling courageous, I might talk a little bit about my one and a little bit about me at the end of this. But like everything, when it comes to being part of the queer community, it does require a bit of courage and a bit of support and making sure that you're part of a safe space to be doing these kind of things. So something to be very mindful of. And for our beautiful allies out there, I think it was a really good topic to talk about because, I mean, in the past, I know I've heard people say, well, why is it so important for people to throw it in my face that they're gay? And it's not about that. And I don't think it ever has been about that.
Would it be more about, I think as well, it's about the labels and why do you have to tell everybody you're gay? Why do you have to tell everybody you're trans? Why do you have to tell everybody you're bi or pan or whatever, however you identify?
Yeah.
It's quite interesting when people who don't understand say that, or even friends who just want to clarify because they don't know why LGBTQIA plus people need a label or need a term to help them express who they are.
Yeah.
And some don't. I was talking about this with people this week about the mental health issues and even though LGBTQIA plus people, especially in young, only make up 21% of the population, they make up a disproportionate amount of the mental health issues and the bullying and all that kind of stuff. So it's quite interesting. And if we're looking at labels as well, as a human race, even though we like to be different, we like to be individual, we like to think that we are unique, we have a sense of wanting to belong. And young people, especially, always want to belong. Yeah. And having a label for some of these young queer people helps them feel like they belong to something.
Absolutely. It's in a similar way of having other minorities out there having representation. It's the same as, and in other minorities, it's a little bit easier to see because you can be like, oh, okay, well, you're part of this culture because you're surrounded by these people. I'm from this area. This is how I identify.
It's like looking at someone, you can't say they are a member of the LGBTQIA plus all the time. Some people like to be overtly and put it out there and show that, but you can't always show that. And sometimes people have a label. So for me personally, I have a label to make it easier for other people. I know that sounds ridiculous. I have a label to make it easier for other people to understand who I am. And so instead of having to explain my whole life story in 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I can say a quick line, this is who I am and this is how I identify.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
And some people you just don't come out to in that term. And so even though your friends might say labels and why do you need them, you'll come out to your friends because you feel comfortable to them. But that doesn't mean I'm going to come out as trans to every single person on the street.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? even though I put it on my social media and that kind of stuff. That's different. I don't know most of the people on there. Like, I don't know how many people I've got on there and actually how many people I actually talk to. But you know what I mean? Like, it's constantly coming out. It's quite a big thing to have a label and then constantly coming out every single day, every single week. It makes it a bit easier having that label to come out to people. And it would be great if we got to a world where we didn't have to come out and just be like, this is who I am. People just accepted you for who you are without any label. But I feel like in a society that we're in now, we still need those labels to make it easier for other people.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And ourselves as well. Like, if I didn't come out as pansexual, it'd be very difficult to date people. just as a side note.
But wouldn't that be for other people? Because to date other people, because you're saying you're pansexual, which is for other people, where you don't actually have to say anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fair.
Early on in the stages, saying that I was trans helped me with my mental health and getting around the whole big picture. But now when I say I'm trans, I do it for other people so that I think about their feelings and their, it's in the back of my mind. Do they know? Is there something that's showing that I might be trans and that kind of stuff? So constantly I'm doing it for other people at the moment now. I'm only 3 and a bit years into my transition, and that might change later on when I become a bit more passing. I passed pretty well.
You pass it very well. No one realizes you're trans.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? But in the back of your mind, as an LGBT person, I'm always thinking, do they know? And going through a PD the other day and thinking, when they were talking about trans people, like in the back of my mind, I was like, are people looking at me? Are they questioning me? Are they thinking how all this applies to me? Even though majority of the people in the room wouldn't care. And all the new people don't even know me. So you know what I mean? But it's all that kind of stuff in the back of your mind always plays. And I feel like sometimes a label makes it easier.
Yeah, it's fair. There's a lot of reasons that people come out, and there's a lot of reasons that people don't come out. The reason that we're looking at this, I thought it was very interesting. Some qualitative research about people's experiences of why they identify. Looking at it, why people identify as part of the queer community. And some people have said because it defines them, because they're happy with who they are, they're born this way, go gaga. Because it's helped me find love. See, I'm not wrong. Gives me empathy for other minority groups, or makes me focus on justice and equality. Makes me a stronger person, role model for other LGBTQIA people. Family, friends, and society accept me for who I am.
That's a hard one.
Feeling of community / friendship with other queer people, and makes me feel unique and different. And I thought, yeah, that's really fair. I think the majority of the reasons why I identify myself to other people would be, and because I don't need to, it's not going to change people's, well, to be honest, the reason that I don't identify myself to other people is because I'm fear of judgment.
100%.
And the only reason that I would identify myself to other people in my work setting, outside of work, I don't really mind too much, because you can walk away from people. But inside of work, it's a little bit different, because you've got to deal with these people on a day-to-day basis. Yeah. Is if I see somebody else who might be part of the queer community, I like being like, I'm bisexual. Oh, I'm pansexual. Sorry. What am I? I'm pansexual. And it's like that olive branch and being like, we're family.
Yeah. And so that they realize that they have another safe person to talk to. Because in a workplace, you don't always have a lot of safe people, or you don't always feel safe as a part of the LGBT. Being a trans person still today, especially in places like America, you can die. People kill you. I was even watching a quick clip today from Laverne Cox, an amazing trans woman, a raising trans activist, and another trans person, which I didn't get their name, unfortunately. They were just talking about the fact that they were on dating sites, and they put it in there. They put in their profile because you have to, because otherwise some people feel like they're being baited and that kind of stuff. And then the men don't read it, and then they get angry at them when they realize that they've matched with a trans woman. And one of them had a guy tell them that they were going to shoot them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So for some people, it's still very dangerous to put a label on yourself. And in some countries, we're pretty lucky here. And I feel that trans men are unfortunately luckier than trans women because of the stigma still around it. And so being part of the LGBTQIA+, people might say I'm open and that kind of stuff, but their words and their actions and that don't always line up still, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things that we're very lucky to be in Australia. And even recently when we were looking at traveling around the world and looking where we were going to travel this year, because yes, 2023 is going to be the year of travel.
Finally.
But looking at where is safe and having that aspect of being like, okay, well, where can we go through connecting flights? Or where can we travel to, or where is it going to be safe for us to travel? And I'm not so concerned for my safety as I am concerned for your safety, and I would never want to go to an area that would jeopardize that.
Yeah, because it was 71 countries around the world still criminalize same-sex.
Yeah.
Which is massive, and 11 of those countries still have the death penalty. So it's still something to think of, even though some people might be like, why do LGBT people need a pride parade? Why do they need labels? And when you have 71 countries that still criminalize same-sex and 11 that still have the death penalty, that's why people still march. That's why people put a label to also show others that it's okay to be you. It's okay to be part of the LGBT, and it's not abnormal, and it's not going to kill you in most countries. But you know what I mean? Like it makes it a bit safer as well for others. It's almost a way to be like, you were saying, an olive branch, like, hey, this is who I am, and I'm a safe person to come out to if you need that person.
Yeah. It's that normalizing, isn't it?
Yes.
As soon as something is normal, people are like, okay, this is the way we live. But we've not gotten to that level yet. And it's been shown in a lot of things that we've talked about in regards to legislation in our past episodes on conversion therapy. It's the fact of we need to keep on identifying until it's normal, until we don't have these discriminations against us of being just queer. Like, that's it.
You know what's funny? It just popped into my head, that people say, why do you put a label? Why do you call yourself a man? Why do you call yourself a woman? That's labels as well, technically, right? Like, technically. Like, why do you have to say that? Like, on a form and that kind of stuff. Like, I get it, you have to say, like, your sex, which is different. But your gender, why do you have to say gender?
Why do you even have to say sex?
I don't know. But you know what I mean?
How does that change anything? Like, when I'm going to a bank and I'm like, yeah, my name is bloody bloody blah and my gender is blah. I'm like, why do you need to know my gender? What is this changing here?
It doesn't change anything.
Bank.
Do you know what I mean? I had a lot of issue during my top surgery. I couldn't change my gender marker to male because of the Medicare system, and that's we can go into that episode another time with changes on testosterone and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I had issues trying to get MX because they wouldn't put it to Mr. because they said your gender marker is not male, so we can't change your prefix to Mr. And I was like, but my name is masculine. It's a male name, but they wouldn't. And then why is that an issue?
Yeah. Why do we live in a world that's so caught up with that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't change anything.
No. Because isn't technically Mr., Ms., aren't they labels?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That you put on yourself.
I've always wondered about that because, like, whenever I'm signing up to something new, I'm like, what shall I identify as this? And it's like, is Miss? I'm pretty sure that Ms.
is like, you don't want to say I
thought it was a widower. I thought that's what I got told.
It used to be. That's what I was told. It used to be that, but then someone was telling me who they go by Ms., like MS, was that they don't want to identify whether they're married or single or not.
Yeah.
Because why in a world today do you still have to say, look, men are Mr., 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 Mr. Why is a woman Miss, Ms., or Mrs. based on their marital status?
Mm-hmm. It's based on a man. Okay. To all our cis males out there, we do still love you if you're listening to this and you're an ally. We do. But let me just have a little...
It's still a patriarchal society.
It's the fucking patriarchy.
Yeah, we'll even go into an episode where I talk about male privilege that I've experienced, which is ridiculous.
The fucking patriarchy.
Yeah.
This is why. Okay. It's because they want to know what you identify as so they can discriminate against you. I'm going on a rampage.
Yeah, I can see that's fun.
Against your financial status. That's what it is. It's it's the pay gap, which still exists today.
Yes.
And it's how much your earning capabilities are. And it's whether you're going to get pregnant and go on mat leave.
True.
That's what it is. Fuck it. Anyway, I digress. Thanks for listening. I appreciate it. Anyway, so coming back to the topic at hand.
Yes.
I looked at the prime time in your life when you come out, because most people, if you look at when they start identifying, generally that's around your younger years. Yeah. Generally, I say. There is a lot of people who identify later on in life, and that's their own journey about like whether it's safe or not, whether they've realized it or not, and that's fine. Everyone's got their own journey, which is great. I don't know how many times I can say journey, but...
Is that the segue to put in that song? Just a small town girl. whatever small town boy.
Living in a lonely world. God, I've started singing. Stop it. Just so you know, I'm not the singer in this relationship. Anyway, so I was looking at when people start identifying and when they start questioning their identity is generally around their younger years in high school, and then going on from that. So looking at the research for high school students, and there was this meta-analysis of school-based studies where it says sexually minoritized individuals were 1.2 times more likely to report parental physical abuse and 3.8 times more likely to report sexual abuse. They're also 1.7 times more likely to be assaulted at school and 2.4 times more likely to miss school out of fear, which, funnily enough, we know.
Oh, 100%. As a teacher, I know.
Yeah. And it makes me really sad because this is the start of people's journey.
Yeah, and that's why it takes some people longer to come out because of that. It affects LGBT kids disproportionately for such a small population of the 21% of the school population. I think as well it was like 5 times more likely to have mental health issues.
Yeah, yeah. And it's not like coming out or figuring out your identity is an easy thing. It's a horrible thing. You question everything.
Yeah.
It's not fun. It's like this whole giant roller coaster of being like, oh, why am I having this feeling? Oh, this feeling's not right. Oh, no, I don't want to have this feeling for the rest of my life.
And as a kid, right, so you're sitting in a classroom and that's going through your brain constantly. How are you supposed to learn anything? How is anything supposed to go in when you're constantly having all these, I'm wrong, why am I like this in the back of your mind, every single day? And then and for some kids, they're at school and they are who they are. They are happy. Like, yes, they might have all that stuff and they go home and they have to put on a mask and pretend to be 2 to 3 different people.
I always feel so heartwarmed when you see those things where you've got kids who are evidently gay. And there's a lot of kids out there either evidently gay or evidently trans. Mm-hmm. And you see how the parents just support them from a young age. And it's always just like, I'm supporting my kid because I love them and I know they'll be whoever they need to be later on in life. And they understand that by supporting their children is going to be better in the long term. And it's them coming to school where they have to kind of put a mask on. But I'm like, that's fine because that means your social support is supporting you throughout this. And it means that you can get through anything. When it's flipped and it's the other way around and it's like, you go to school to be who you need to be and then you come home to all the people who are meant to love and support you and you can't be who you need to be. And it's that gut-wrenching, heart-tearing out feeling that you're like, I can't be me.
Yeah. And for some people, they can't do it at school or at home.
There was also another national survey that was done on lesbian, gay, bi, trans students between the ages of 13 to now 20. So we're looking at a little bit latter years. Mm-hmm. And just a trigger warning now, this is going to be talking about some discriminatory terms towards the LGBTQIA plus community. So please just tune out for the next about 2 minutes. For those who are still listening, it reported that 70 to 85% frequently had sexual prejudice remarks against them at school. And these are things like, you're so gay.
Which is still around today and is still having issues about.
Absolutely. Dyke, faggot. And then,
still around.
Mm-hmm. And 57 reported hearing remarks from teachers and other staff. And then of this, it was like 64% felt unsafe at school due to their sexual orientation. 82% were verbally harassed, including threats. 38% were physically harassed, so pushed, shoved. And then 18% were physically assaulted, including kicking, punching, and assault with a weapon. And then you had the 55% were harassed and threatened by peers electronically, which thankfully we didn't have to deal with that too much when we were younger. But
we're pretty lucky we didn't have to deal with that kind of stuff. But it is definitely prevalent in schools now, and it's a shame. It sucks. And
that you're so gay and faggot are still out there.
So I was talking to people and we were trying to work out why it's come back as a resurgent. And if you think about it, the you're so gay, it was around when we were kids, right?
Yeah.
So those kids are now parents. And those parents are now passing on those habits.
Yeah.
Those bad habits, I'm just going to put it as bad habits, to their kids because they might say it at home like, oh, that's gay. Or that, and it's something that they they learnt from their parents, and then when we were growing up, we learnt, oh, you can't say that anymore. That was coming through schools. I'm not sure if it came through your school. You can't say that anymore. Then it's almost come back with a resurgent through those kids who used to say it, and then they've passed it on to their kids, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that it's becoming an issue again, and people don't understand why
you don't say it.
Why you don't say it. Absolutely. And then people are just like, oh, well, why do you identify? I identify to make this normal, to make sure that people don't say derogatory comments and don't think that homophobic slurs are a fine thing to say in our community, because it should never be a fine thing.
No.
Because it's not the fact that I identify as queer, it's the fact that there are people out there who identify as queer, and you making these comments is just another nail in the coffin to them being closer and closer to hurting themselves or committing suicide.
And I identify, especially as a teacher, because I want to be that teacher that I needed to show kids that it's okay to be you. Yeah. It doesn't matter if you are LGBTQIA+, if you are a massive nerd, if you love music or rainbows or unicorns, just be you, and it should just be okay to be you. And why is it anybody else's business about who you are and to pull you down for just being yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. That reminds me, I need to get a rainbow lanyard for work.
Yeah, I can link you. There's a lot of places where you can where you buy a rainbow lanyard and the money goes to helping LGBTQIA+ youth.
Yeah, because I want people to know that it's safe.
Yeah.
And especially in healthcare, I want our patients to know that if it's a safe space, that if they need to talk about something, that they can talk about it.
Yeah, and talking about health, transgender people do get a lot of discrimination in the healthcare profession still.
I've seen it firsthand, and it makes me angry.
And it's disgusting, and it needs to change. It definitely needs to change. And why, who cares? Like, how does it impact you? However someone identifies, how does it impact you? It doesn't. You're not going to remember them next week. So why are you treating them with discrimination and like they are a lesser human being? Because they're not like you. Like,
yeah. It makes me so angry because the basis of the care that we give should be unbiased, and that's what you go into healthcare. And I know for doctors, and specifically I'm not going to talk about all the things that they have to uphold as doctors because that's not my pathway, but you make these commitments, and it's part of a lot of the values through Australia's hospitals is that you are aware of the Anti-Discrimination Act and the Equal Opportunities Act, and that you give unbiased care to all. And the fact that some people cannot do that means that they should not be in this industry. And granted, there are these people everywhere, but you should not be in this industry, and you should not be in the care industry and inhibiting people from getting health care, because that's not your right to make that decision. It's difficult. It's really difficult. And that's why we have to, and this is why it always has to be a topic, is that until it's normal, it needs to keep on being said.
Yeah, and it may never get to that point, or it might get to that point in 1,000 years or whatever it may be. But the fact that I think if we still need labels for women to identify their marital status, it's going to be a long time before LGBTQIA+ people, or the Rainbow Mafia, or however they like to, however you like to identify, it's up to you. However the person identifies, it's going to be a long time before we are able to get rid of the labels.
Yeah.
And some people might not want to get rid of the labels. Some people are very proud of who they are. I'm very proud of who I am as a transgender man and the journey that I've had to go on. It's not been easy. It's been very difficult, especially in WA, with just getting access to information to be able to transition has been ridiculously hard, and I felt very alone. I do it because I'm proud of what I had to go through. Because being an LGBTQIA person, there's a lot of inner turmoil. There's a lot of inner homophobia, internalized homophobia, and all that kind of stuff that we have to deal with that other people don't.
If this is normalized, this will get better. People won't have an option to be like, oh, these comments are okay to say within your work colleagues, within your staff. It is not. It's never going to be okay. Just don't make discriminatory comments about anybody.
Why are we still making discriminatory? Why are we still making I rewinded myself. Why are we still?
I really like the sound. You did that so well.
Why are we still making discriminatory comments right now? We are now in 2023. It's time to move on. it's interesting because with social media it has opened up a whole new can of worms with people hiding behind a screen. I've got a lot of hate on Instagram just for being me and being trans. And the reason I put the fact that I'm trans is to show kids, hey, it's okay. You are allowed to be who you are, because I never had a role model like myself growing up. And there are many amazing trans men and women on Instagram and social media. And every day they are constantly get hate. And what I do is, so I just hide it, because I'm like, I can take that, but for a young person who's 12, 13, 14, who is coming to terms with their identity and who they are, they don't need to see that.
Yeah.
It just shows you the real world that still to this day, not everybody's accepting. I've been really, really lucky to all the people that I've come out to. I do have to kind of judge how or predict how they're going to react so that I don't get hurt or bashed or,
know if it's a safe space to be actually making these actions.
100%.
You're a very good judge of character, and you've needed to be, because it's a safety thing. And it's that whole thing in your brain of like, even just testing it and seeing I've had conversations with people in the past and been like, you kind of put the bait out.
To see how they're going to react if you did come out and say,
you're just like, ooh, what's your opinion about this?
Yeah. I'm a better judge of character now that I've transitioned than before transitioning.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think it was because I was so focused on trying to put a mask on to be who people wanted me to be that I didn't have that mental capacity to look outwards as much as I do now. So I've definitely become a lot more reflective since transitioning.
I think it comes also with age and understanding. And the great thing about aging, and I actually quite like, is you're more of the idea of being like, well, fuck it, this is who I am.
Yeah.
Like,
you don't care what people think about you anymore.
Well, I mean, it's lessened.
Yeah. Well, I don't care. I'm just like, you take me, you leave me. I've gone through enough crap that, it's like...
I can only hope that someday we'll get to a point that, how there's people say like that you don't have to come out. Like, it will get to a point that we don't have to come out. I know a lot of people who have come out later on in life and they haven't identified or haven't like been attracted. Sorry. They haven't been attracted to the same sex earlier, and then they have been later on in life. And
some people say that's because like they just open their mind a bit more, and they're not so, and they're like, oh, actually, well, no, I think they're attractive. I'll give that a go.
Yeah, exactly. So you never know, like, it never has to be that there is a specific time to be doing it. And like we did briefly mention, sometimes people never come out.
Yeah.
And sometimes that might be a safety thing. Sometimes that might be internalized homophobia. Sometimes that might just not be having a role model and knowing what your feelings might actually mean.
Yeah. Or not having the mental health support to get to that point.
Yeah. If you're already dealing with so many other things...
You can't put anything else on, you're done.
Yeah, absolutely. Be like, what? I'm fucking attracted to women as well? Nah.
Like that's it. There's only so many things on my list that I can deal with.
Exactly. So there's a lot of reasons that people do or don't. Everyone's got their own journey.
100%. Again, journey.
Drink every time I say journey. But everyone does have their own road that they need to go down. And as long as we're making sure that this is a supportive thing, that they can have the ability to do what they need to if they want to come out and they want to identify themselves. Because as we talked about, it's not all bad. You get to be part of this great community. You get access to the appropriate healthcare. You get to identify as the person that you need to be. They're all good things if you can do it.
Be you. Yeah. Be queer. Be happy.
And that's us, folks. I was just like, no, that was just a really nice thing.
Yeah, no. But side note, before we finish, because we're not going to put up our new little logo yet, we do have a logo on our Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
So we have some logos up there because, like we said, we want you guys to be a part of our journey. We want you to make the choices. And we've got some different logos for you to choose. So if you want to jump onto our Instagram at Let's Be Perfectly Queer Podcast, I think that's what it is. Yeah. Jump on there and have your vote about which one you like. So at the moment, 1 and 2 are winning, but I think 2's just over 1. But they're not going to know what that means. So you have to go check it out.
It's true. There's some people who say 3, and I'm like, no, not 3. Not 3. That's the first one that we did.
But some people love the original.
I know, it's true. The one that I did before I knew how to use Procreate and Canva and all that kind of stuff.
It works. So, jump on there because we would like your opinion. And don't forget, you can email us at letsbeperfectlyqueerpod@gmail.com or contact us through Instagram. If you want to come on, share your stories. There is a few in the pipeline that I'll get onto hopefully this week.
Cool.
This month.
And
when I have time.
don't forget to rate and subscribe.
And review.
We would love it, please. That means a lot. And for those who have, thank you so much. We really appreciate you. And have a great week. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.